Wave after wave of multiple illegal drone incursions over Barksdale Air Force Base near Shreveport, Louisiana.
U.S. officials have detected unidentified drones flying above Fort McNair.
Multiple waves of 12 to 15 drones operating over sensitive areas of the installation, which houses the Air Force's Nuclear Command and B-52 bombers.
Seeing this probe on a base inside the United States is very troubling.
Significant threat to public safety and national security.
Officials are still trying to figure out where the drones came from.
Developing news that multiple waves of unauthorized drones, mystery drones, have recently been spotted over various U.S. Air Force bases. Now, I shared this with you yesterday. We had heard that overnight that there had been drones that had showed up over a U.S. military air base in Washington, D.C., and now we're hearing that waves of drones have been appearing in an Air Force base in Louisiana where we keep our B-52 bombers. And yes, we're hearing that authorities are saying that this is a threat. They do not know where this is coming from. We are looking into it further, but let's take a look at the latest headlines so that way you can see it for yourself. What we do know so far, as of today, Friday, March 20th, 2026, multiple waves of unauthorized drones have been recently spotted over U.S. Air Force Base. Leak reveals major drone incident at Air Force Base in Trump's war. Washington Post, unidentified drones are flying over bases where Rubio and Hegseth live. Also, mystery drones are flying near D.C. area military base as Iran tensions escalate. And again, you can see all of these articles coming out March 20th or March 19th in the past 48 hours. And this comes as last week we had seen as well the FBI warning of an Iranian-inspired attack on California with drones in retaliation for the war, according to an alert. Now, we heard the White House kind of walked that statement back, saying, hey, that was provided by the FBI, but it was an unverified source. But this today, coming out March 20th, is verified. It is confirmed. 2 U.S. Air Force bases have had waves, multiple waves of mysterious, unauthorized, unidentified drones entering into their airspace, and they're saying this is a threat and a concern. Heard before, as I mentioned, California received a warning of a potential wave of suicide drones, the Shaheds from Iran, that could come in and potentially do suicide bombings into various areas in California. Now, we're also hearing that these bases now could be a concern as well.
Patriots, I'm at Restored Republic via AGCR update for Saturday, March 21st, 2026, compiled by Judy, Byington. Very soon there will come a moment when every screen in the world, phones, TVs, computers, display the same message simultaneously. It's the EBS activating to expose the truth. For 72 hours, 3 days, the world will receive a continuous stream of declassified information, the real history of the last 100 years. Don't be afraid, be ready, have food, cash, and essentials on hand. Banks may close, ATMs not working during the next 10 to 12 days of disclosure. The previous Biden administration lost over 300,000 children who were trafficked into the United States, many of whom have been raped, exploited, abused, and sold. Sold. Nobody talks about that. The fake news doesn't write about it. We have tracked and found some of them and returned them to their parents in various countries. The others are either missing or dead. We are going to prosecute the monsters who did this. Insist any system that results in the mass trafficking of children is inherently evil. Yet that is what the globalist agenda has done. President Donald Trump to the UN globalists who support child trafficking. Judy note, 9/11, President Bush's attack on the World Trade Center, which killed 2,977 people and injured thousands more. On September 10, 2001, in a press conference, Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld announced that $2.3 trillion were missing from the Pentagon's coffers. A missile, not a plane, hit the Pentagon to wipe out the financial office containing records of the missing billions that McNamara divulged the day before. Years later, during McNamara's military tribunal, a recording was played of McNamara, Vice President Dick Cheney, and President Bush planning the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center. It included their plans for blackmail and the insurance they would collect from damage to the buildings. The 9/11 disaster was blamed on Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, but he did not form Al-Qaeda. The CIA created a database by that name. Al-Qaeda is a CIA database of the Afghans fighting Russia and received U.S. weapons. Charlie Wilson's War, 2007. 9/11 was a Mossad operation as witnessed by all the Zionists who did not show up for work and the Jewish demolition team masquerading as students. ISIS equals Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, Mossad. September 11, 2001 was the date the Nasara law was supposed to go into effect. The Bushes owed a huge loan in the billions to Nasara. It was due on 9/11. The loan papers were in building number 7. All records went down in the towers. The next day on September 11, 2001, a missile hit the Pentagon that wiped out Department of Defense staffers and the financial office containing records of the missing billions. 9/11 mastermind and former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld was arrested on May 27, 2021, promptly flown to Diego Garcia, where he committed suicide during his military tribunal. Yet the mainstream media said he died of medical causes. Chronology of deep state assets executed by the U.S. military, that's the link. Bush's brother ran the security company on charter of the towers, and Bush security was over both airports. Sniffer dogs' daily sweep of the buildings canceled the weekend before 9/11. A week prior, the towers were closed to rewiring for a new computer systems. That was when it was believed that the charges were set. It took months for the molten lake under the towers to cool off tanks to the military thermite they used on every beam. Thermite can melt a car engine in minutes. Any pictures of towers, it is easy to see that the fires could not have melted the beams below. The photos and videos of Tower Number 2 are easy to see that all beams are intact. The supposed plane did not sever and wall beams. No airplane struck either the north or south towers. CGI images were used in pictures of the planes supposedly hitting the towers. The Pentagon was struck by a Tomahawk cruise missile, seen circling overhead before striking the building. No plane wreckage was found, only cruise missile debris. The fourth plane was downed for flying into redistricted military airspace. No plane wreckage, seats, wheels, engines, baggage, bodies were found. Only cruise missile debris. 9/11 conspiracy theory, the Corbett Report. There's a link to the Corbett Report transcript. On the morning of September 11, 2001, 19 men armed with box cutters directed by a man on dialysis in a cave fortress halfway around the world using a satellite phone and a laptop directed the most sophisticated penetration of the most heavily defended airspace in the world, overpowering the passengers and the military combat trained pilots on 4 commercial aircraft before flying those planes wildly off course for over an hour without being molested by a single fighter interceptor. These 19 hijackers, devout religious fundamentalists who like to drink alcohol, snort cocaine, and live with pink-haired strippers, managed to knock down 3 buildings with 2 planes in New York, While in Washington, a pilot who could not handle a single-engine Cessna was able to fly a 757 in an 8,000-foot descending 270-degree corkscrew turn to come exactly level with the ground, hitting the Pentagon in the Budget Analysis Office, where DoD staffers were working on the mystery of the $2.3 trillion that Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld had announced missing from the Pentagon's coffers in a press conference the day before, on September 10, 2001. Luckily, the news anchors knew who did it within minutes. The pundits knew within hours, the administration knew within the day, and the evidence literally fell into the FBI's lap. But for some reason, a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists demanded an investigation into the greatest attack on American soil in history. The investigation was delayed, underfunded, set up to fail, a conflict of interest, and a cover-up from start to finish. It was based on testimony extracted through torture, the records of which were destroyed. It failed to mention the existence of WTC-7, Able Danger, Tech, Sybil Edmonds, OBL, and the CIA, and the drills of hijacked aircraft being flown into buildings that were being simulated at the precise same time that those events were actually happening. It was lied to by the Pentagon, the CIA, the Bush administration. And as for Bush and Cheney, well, no one knows what they told it because they testified in secret, off the record, not under oath and behind closed doors. Did not bother to look at who funded the attacks because that question is of little practical significance. Still, the 9/11 Commission did brilliantly, answering all of the questions the public had, except most of the victims' family members' questions, and pinned blame on all the people responsible, although no one so much as lost their job, determining the attacks were a failure of imagination, because I don't think anyone could envision flying airplanes into buildings, except the Pentagon and FEMA and NORAD and the NRO. The DIA destroyed 2.5 terabytes of data on Able Danger, but that's okay because it probably wasn't important. The SEC destroyed their records on the investigation into the insider trading before the attacks, but that's okay because destroying the records of the largest investigation in SEC history is just part of routine record keeping. NIST has classified the data that they used for their model of WTC-7's collapse. But that's okay, because knowing how they made their model of that collapse would jeopardize public safety. The FBI has argued that all material related to their investigation of 9/11 should be kept secret from the public, but that's okay, because the FBI probably has nothing to hide. This man never existed, nor is anything he had to say worthy of your attention. And if you say otherwise, you are paranoid conspiracy theorists and deserve to be shunned by all of humanity. Likewise, him, and her, and her, and her, and him. Osama bin Laden lived in a cave fortress in the hills of Afghanistan, but somehow got away. Then he was hiding out in Tora Bora, but somehow got away. And he lived in Abbottabad for years, taunting the most comprehensive intelligence dragnet, employing the most sophisticated technology in the history of the world for 10 years. Releasing video after video with complete impunity, getting younger and younger as he did so, before finally being found in a daring SEAL team raid which wasn't recorded on video, in which he did not resist or use his wife as a human shield, and in which these crack special forces operatives panicked and killed this unarmed man, supposedly the best source of intelligence about those dastardly terrorists on the planet. Then they dumped his body in the ocean before telling anyone about it. Then a couple dozen of that team's members died in a helicopter crash in Afghanistan. This is the story of 9/11, brought to you by the media, which told you the hard truths about JFK and incubator babies and mobile production facilities and the rescue of Jessica Lynch. If you have any questions about this story, you are a batshit, paranoid, tenfold, dog-abusing baby hater and will be reviled by everyone. If you love your country and our freedom, happiness, rainbows, rock and roll, puppy dogs, apple pie, and your grandma, you will never ever express doubts about any part of this story. Anyone. Ever. This has been a public service announcement by the Friends of the FBI, CIA, NSA, DIA, SEC, MSM, White House, NIST, and the 9/11 Commission, because ignore ignorance is strength. What's really behind the Iran War, 9/11, Bin Laden, SEAL Team 6, and the Benghazi massacre? The official story of 9/11. On September 11, 2001, a coordinated series of Islamic terrorist suicide attacks were perpetrated by Al-Qaeda against the United States. 19 terrorists hijacked 4 airliners and then flew out one into each of the Twin Towers at the World Trade Center in New York City. The third plane crashed into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the United States Department of Defense in Arlington County, Virginia. The fourth plane was downed by its brave, patriotic passenger victims in a rural Pennsylvania field. The 9/11 attacks, which killed 2,977 people and injured thousands more, were blamed on Osama bin Laden, a violent terrorist and founder of Al-Qaeda. 10 years later, on May 1st, 2011, bin Laden, or a body double, was supposedly taken down by the U.S. military SEAL Team 6, though bin Laden might not have been the real bin Laden, and it turned out that it was SEAL Team 6's turn to be killed about 3 months later. Intel now revealed that director of the CIA, John Brennan, asked Iran, which had been harboring bin Laden, to set him up in Pakistan, for Obama to get a photo trophy to help with his re-election. Then Iran extorted the Obama administration for $1.52 billion to keep the secret. It was paid in cash by Obama. On May 24, 2011, the Obama administration, Biden, leaked operational details and who in the SEAL Team 6 operational forces were involved in taking out bin Laden. Then 3 months later, on August 6, 2011, 33 individuals, including 22 Navy SEALs with knowledge of the bin Laden scandal, were sent on a slow, heavy Chinook helicopter to a village in Afghanistan, where they were shot down like a sitting duck. A Stinger missile found in wreckage was traced back to the CIA. Around a year later, on coincidentally September 11, 2012, Benghazi happened. Further intel exposed that the Benghazi massacre was a cover for Obama, Biden, Clinton, Pelosi, Soros' gun and missile running ring that fed weapons to various terrorist groups. And there's a link to that article at Before It's News. The $1.52 billion Obama paid Iran to keep the 9/11 bin Laden SEAL Team 6 and Benghazi massacre secret was paid in cash by Obama. The money went toward building up Iran's nuclear capability. Iran had been shouting death to America for 47 years before Trump finally took action to destroy their military capability. And here we have several links about 9/11, various articles from Real Raw News and Gazette Teller, Washington Post. Worldwide Emergency Broadcast System activation. Trump Tier 4B activated on Telegram Friday, March 20th, 2026. Very soon there will come a moment when every screen in the world, phones, TVs, computers, display the same message simultaneously. It's the EBS activating to expose the truth. Don't be afraid. Be ready. For 72 hours, 3 days, the world will receive a continuous stream of declassified information, the real history of the last 100 years, the crimes committed against humanity by those who claim to protect it, the technology that was stolen from you, the financial system that enslaved you, all of it, unfiltered, undeniable, and unstoppable. Some will panic, that is expected, but some, like you, will not panic. Like you, they have been preparing for this moment. Every time they read a post, every time they shared the truth, when it was unpopular, every time they trusted their instincts over the narrative. When the EBS goes live, yours and their role is simple. Be calm in the storm. Be the person your family turns to. Be the one who says, I told you, and now I will help you understand. The old world ends with the first EBS broadcast. The new world begins with you.
All right, let's get right into this. We're breaking down a really critical piece of intelligence today, the operational timeline for the global shutdown. We're going to go through this Section 17 phase by phase so you understand the exact sequence of events that's laid out.
Okay, so here's where it all kicks off. You have to understand, this whole thing is a meticulously controlled production. And the very first move? It's absolute, a total communications blackout. The point is to create this moment of a global pause, cutting off the endless stream of managed information and just forcing everyone, everywhere, to pay attention to what's coming next.
So phase 1 is the initial blackout. This is the moment the world's communication systems, the internet, your phone, all that constant digital noise are deliberately cut. It's designed to be a first strike shock. The idea is to completely disrupt the normal flow of everything and fracture that old, managed reality. It's all about preparing the ground for what's new.
Now look at the precision here for the first 72 hours. This isn't random chaos, not at all. It is a carefully sequenced operation. The cut, that's the trigger. Then you have the panic. That's the totally predictable response from a population that's been conditioned by the old system. And right on its heels is the EBS takeover, which is the direct countermeasure, the thing that introduces the new information. Every single hour is accounted for. So this is absolutely crucial to understand. The first story you're going to hear is a deliberate lie. As soon as those main undersea cables are cut, the media channels you're used to are going to flood the airwaves with a prepackaged story, and they're going to blame it on the usual geopolitical villains. This is 100% by design. Its only purpose is to push those who are still unaware, what this timeline calls 3D sleepers, into a state of fear. That way their full attention is captured for everything that's about to follow.
Let's move on to the next phase, and you'll see how this all builds. This is the part where the timeline predicts we're going to see two very different reactions play out. And it's also where the role for those of you who are prepared for this, well, it becomes absolutely critical.
And this just perfectly illustrates that split. On one side, you're going to see what the source calls NPC behavior. Those predictable, almost programmed panic responses. The runs on stores, the gas stations. It's the confusion that sets in when that digital framework of information, what's called the AI scaffolding, starts to fall apart. But then, look at the other side. That is the mission for the resonating soul. That's you. The ones who are prepared to stay calm, to hold your ground, and to literally function as a lighthouse of stability for everyone else.
You see, this isn't just a passive role. It is your core function. Think about it. In a world that's suddenly filled with nothing but digital noise and fear, a calm, centered presence becomes the most powerful signal there is. When all those artificial constructs fall away, your calm resonance provides the only real signal for people who are lost in the static. You become the stabilizing frequency. And now, we get to the pivot point of the entire operation. Once the old system is silenced and the public is fully focused, the next phase begins. The complete, unfiltered release of suppressed truth on a global scale. The way this happens is through a takeover of the emergency broadcast system. It's laid out as a very clean, very swift process. First, all media and internet are commandeered by what the source calls white hat forces. Second, a continuous broadcast starts up. It's going to last at least 72 hours, and it's filled with prepackaged, documentary-style disclosures. And the result? The false reality is shattered. Not slowly, not piece by piece, but in one single, overwhelming blow.
And what are these truth disclosures going to contain?
Well, according to the timeline, they're going to cover a massive range of suppressed topics. We are talking about systemic election fraud, the existence of global child trafficking networks, and the reality of satanic cults. It will also reportedly present the specific crimes of elites who have already been removed and replaced, along with proof of what they call parasite control systems and the full exposure of the bloodlines that were warning them.
So, after all the disclosures, the final phase is designed to make sure the old power structure is permanently dismantled and that justice is served. This is the period of aftermath, of stabilization, and importantly, of accountability. The main tool for justice described in this timeline will be the tribunals, and these are laid out not as some kind of show trial, but as a series of methodical legal processes, some of them public, some of them secret, all of them designed to hold every single neutralized elite accountable through confessions, arrests, and, where it's deemed necessary, executions. And just look at this table. The scope of this action is total. Every single pillar of the old structure, political leaders, corporate giants, media heads, royals, all of them are listed as neutralized. The actions you see there, like tribunals and arrests, while they represent the final accounting for their crimes, justice, as the source states, will be served.
So it's really crucial to understand the purpose of this lockdown period. This is not about control, it's about protection. The military presence is there simply to keep chaos at a minimum. It's about giving everyone the necessary time and space to just pause, to watch the disclosures as they're broadcast, and to begin aligning with the new, true reality. And that brings us to the final stage of this briefing. This part of the timeline. It's no longer just about watching the old world fall. It's about understanding your active role in building the new one. This is the question, isn't it? The essential question you have to ask yourself. Your purpose has never been to argue with the old world or to add to its noise. It has been to wait, to hold your frequency, and to be ready to cut through the coming confusion with absolute clarity at the precise, critical moment. According to this timeline, that time is now upon us.
So, your final directive, according to the source material, is clear. Stay calm. Be the lighthouse. You've been given the pieces of this plan. Now, it's time to connect the dots. For any further intelligence, the source directs you to check the Telegram channel, the 21st Memory. The operational timeline is active.
Quantum Financial System, Global Currency Reset, Thursday, March 19, 2026, with historic midnight passage of H.R. 7741, the Quantum Financial Settlement Act. Vice President J.D. Vance verified that the Federal Reserve U.S. note would be delisted as legal tender on Wednesday, April 1, 2026, in line with the fiat U.S. dollar, no longer worth anything by April. The gold asset-backed currency of 209 nations, including the U.S. note of the new quantum financial system, would activate worldwide on Wednesday, April 1, 2026. Thursday, March 19th, Bruce the Big Call. 4 different sources were saying the same thing. March 24th or Tuesday, March 25th, the email notifications will go out to Tier 4B, currency and Zim holders to set their exchange appointments. Another source said it would happen on Wednesday, March 26th. Everything will be wrapped up this week. Iran, war, Cuba, and Tier 4B currency and Zim holder appointments to exchange. Everyone who has an email who bought currency or Zim will get an email from Wells Fargo on how to set your exchange redemption appointment. Doge, R&R, tariff dividends, Zim holders have to exchange at a redemption center, not a bank, so they can move the money into your quantum account. Banks can't do that. You will get a quantum card and a Q phone at the redemption center so you can access your money. Some redemption centers are separate from a bank and some are connected to a bank. Tuesday, March 17th. Total reclamation. Trump launches the biggest recovery of stolen taxpayer money in American history. Trillions coming back to U.S. citizens through the quantum financial system. 107 on Telegram. President Donald J. Trump has launched the biggest recovery of stolen taxpayer money in American history by signing the executive order for the task force to eliminate fraud on March 16, 2026, with Vice President J.D. Vance leading the charge. He's targeting trillions siphoned by the deep state through fraud in federal programs, contracts, and entitlements. This bold strike hits the heart of the globalist networks that have robbed Americans for decades to fund their evil agendas. The waste is immense, with states already exposing billions in scams like massive Medicaid fraud rings operated by insiders and foreign elements. Trump is reclaiming it all through the powerful quantum financial system. Military white hats ensure secure quantum encrypted transfers straight to citizen accounts, completely bypassing the corrupt legacy banks and their schemes. QFS is activating fully now as banks sync up, ending the fiat scam and SWIFT control forever as part of the long prophesied financial reset. This action starves the deep state of its blood money, used for endless wars, open borders, invasions, and operations targeting patriots. The recovered trillions will slash national debts, lower taxes, and fuel major MAGA victories. Special ops teams are tracking every asset from black budgets and laundered offshore accounts, with QFS immutable ledgers, making it impossible for the thieves to hide or escape justice. As the Great Awakening unfolds, patriots witness Nisara principles activating. The cabal is in chaos, facing imminent mass exposures, arrests, and military tribunals. Every true American must prepare their QFS access as the prosperity distributions begin rolling out in the coming weeks. President Trump is delivering on total reclamation, restoring full sovereignty and rightful wealth to the people who built this nation. The deep state era of unchecked theft and tyranny is finally ending, ushering in a glorious golden age of freedom, abundance, and justice for all loyal patriots.
Come here. I don't know you. Can I come? Come here. Wait, you ain't never heard of stranger danger? Look around. You trying to get fucked up? Let me see some ID or something. You got trees? Of course you do. How you know? That's how they get you in the car. I'm riding shotgun.
And for our next trip, I'll make this bomb disappear. Oh, let me get situated. Okay. Alakazuma, ta-da!
Wednesday, March 18th, over $2.3 trillion in off-ledger assets have been quietly positioned through U.S. Treasury-aligned channels since 2018, stored across strategic reserves in Texas, Nevada, Colorado, and Alaska. These assets were never recorded in public balance sheets. They were transferred through defense contractors, sovereign funds, and restructured under emergency authorization protocols. Internal documents link these holdings directly to the ISO 20022 transition framework, preparing a fully asset-backed settlement layer. This reserve was not built for the current system. It was built for what comes next. Save the Children, Friday, March 20th. President Donald Trump to the UN Assembly, globally leads who facilitate child trafficking. The previous Biden administration lost over 300,000 children. Did you hear that? They lost more than 300,000 children, little children who were trafficked into the United States on the Biden watch, many of whom have been raped, exploited, and abused and sold. Sold. Nobody talks about that. The fake news does not write about it. We have tracked and found some of them and returned them to their parents in various countries. The others are either missing or dead. We are going to prosecute the monsters who did this. Any system that results in the mass trafficking of children is inherently evil. Yet that is exactly what the globalist migration agenda has done, and it's what it's all about.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this.
What we think we know as of Saturday, March 21st, 2026. Friday, March 20th, cancer can be cured with high-frequency sound waves. The Big Pharma is hiding this information. Project Odin, martial law, and Telegram. Friday, March 20th, Chuck Schumer has once again voted no on reopening DHS, all but guaranteeing the funding bill will fail. TSA chaos will get worse. Everyone standing in those 3-hour TSA lines should pass that time by repeatedly calling Chuck Schumer's office. Ezra A. Cohen on Telegram. Friday, March 20th, Fox News. President Trump's hard pressure. 6 American allies just pledged full support to secure the Strait of Hormuz shipping lanes. Friday, March 20th, 2026. The Federal Reserve is the biggest financial scam in U.S. history. A private cartel pretending to be governmental while stealing wealth from citizens via endless debt. Born in 1913 in a secret meeting at Jekyll Island between bankers Morgan, Rockefeller, and Warburg, turned America into a debt machine for the banking cartel. It was signed into law by President Woodrow Wilson, surrendering money creation to elites who print fiat currency with no backing. Friday, March 20th, 2026, the U.S. House just passed legislation to deport migrants who commit fraud against America. Welfare scams, fake claims, document fraud, you name it. 186 Dems voted no. 186 traitors who'd rather protect foreign fraudsters than American taxpayers. Friday, March 20th, 2026, the United States produces nearly 22 million barrels of oil per day, more than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. 22% of total world production from one country. America consumes 20 million and produces 22 million, a net exporter. China consumes 15 million and produces 5, a 10 million barrel a day deficit that has to come from somewhere. Now add Venezuela, 303 billion barrels of proved reserves, the largest on earth. Trump took operational control. The Jones Act is waived. The tanker fleet is unlocked. China's rationing. America's exporting. Mr. Poole on Telegram.
Social, quote, if the radical left Democrats don't immediately sign an agreement to let our country, in particular our airports, be free and safe again, I will move our brilliant and patriotic ICE agents to the airports where they will do security like no one has ever seen before, including the immediate arrest of all illegal immigrants who have come into our country, with heavy emphasis on those from Somalia who have totally destroyed, with the approval of a corrupt governor, attorney general, and Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, the once great state of Minnesota. I look forward to seeing ICE in action at our airports. Make America great again. And that
Friday, March 20th, declassified CIA files from 1965 expose secret U.S. weather control programs detailing chemical seeding of hurricanes and monsoons, including Vietnam War ops, leading to today's chemtrail warfare operations. This had DARPA written all over it, as heavy metals poison our planet and the population. LBJ declared, he who controls the weather will control the world. Patriot World on Telegram. Friday, March 20th, 2026. A study of over 1.7 million children has revealed that only children and adolescents given the COVID-19 shot were those who developed inflammation in their hearts. The observational study looked at adolescents aged 12 to 15 years and children between 5 and 11 years old. The study looked at the effectiveness and safety of the Pfizer BioNTech BNT162b2 COVID-19 vaccine in groups of healthy children in England and tested the effectiveness and safety of number 1, the first vaccine does versus no vaccination, and number 2, a second dose versus a single dose. And that's from myocarditis found only in COVID-Vax Kids Study, thepostmillennial.com.
Good evening, I'm Bill Malugin, and this is your Fox News Report. TSA lines are getting longer at airports all across the country as spring break travel picks up. Passengers are facing wait times of up to 2 hours at some checkpoints. TSA agents are going without pay, and some aren't even showing up to work. The fight to fund DHS is still in a standoff in Congress. Today is the first day of spring, but it certainly doesn't feel like it for much of the country. Most of California, the Southwest, and parts of the Midwest are under extreme heat warnings through the weekend, with forecasts pushing past 100 degrees in multiple cities. Iran is threatening tourism sites worldwide as global travel ramps up for a busy spring season. The regime also says it is still making missiles despite 3 weeks of heavy U.S. and Israeli strikes on its manufacturing plants. The Pentagon now requesting an additional $200 billion to fund the war. That price tag would need congressional approval. Some student loans are moving to the Treasury Department. It's part of the president's plan to dismantle the Department of Education, the first to shift about $180 billion in defaulted loans.
Well, Jessica said, he had to win in 2024 to stay out of prison. It just basically proved everything you said. There was a witch hunt from day one, and they were going to do it again. The Dems are talking about revenge. For what? Was it for closing the border? Getting rid of the fentanyl from our cities? Putting away killers and rapists? Exposing waste, fraud, and abuse? Destroying a foreign threat to our country? Exposing the lie of trans athletes? If you're seeking revenge for that, what's it say about you? If you're being honest, you only want revenge because you lost. And in that loss, people saw what they gained in having a new leader. If you look within our borders and beyond our borders, what Trump is doing now, and you have to admit this, is downstream from your own dereliction of your party. What brought us here? The Democrats embraced the luxury beliefs that selfishly elevated their own virtue. Sanctuary cities, trans, identity politics primarily. Did nothing for the real problems of the world, did nothing about our foreign policy issues, did nothing about getting food on the table, did nothing about education. Americans figured that out, but so did the world. They were watching. I think the shock over Trump is his return to reality. We're back making moves in the practical world, and it has nothing to do with a singular person type identity. This is disorienting to people whose careers were based on the split world of identity politics, who have no idea what a national identity is, who have no idea what the melting pot is, have no idea what assimilation is. That's all he is doing, and it drives them crazy because they forgot that language. They can't speak that language anymore. So sue away.
Voter fraud. Friday, March 20th, CISA and the U.S. government knew about foreign intrusion in U.S. elections before the 2020 election. Edward Snowden on Telegram. Did Chris Wray and Chris Krebs hide an Iranian election hack for 6 years? This ties into even more election interference on top of China and the CCP. According to unsealed court documents and a newly obtained FOIA CISA report, Iranian hackers successfully breached Alaska's voter registration database just days before Election Day, stealing personal data on more than 100,000 voters, including names, social security numbers, and driver's licenses. The perpetrators even posted a video online demonstrating how to use the stolen identities to create fraudulent UOCAVA overseas ballots. Despite this, then CISA Director Chris Krebs publicly testified the 2020 election was, quote, the most secure in U.S. history, end quote, while FBI Director Chris Wray and others remained silent. The breach was reportedly omitted from official advisories, Krebs' 2021 cyber risk summary, and public statements, only surfacing years later in a 2021 indictment, unsealed in 2025. The Gateway Pundit has independently verified the legitimacy of the stolen data shown in the Iranian video. These allegations raise urgent questions about transparency, accountability, and foreign interference in our elections. Congress must act, starting with stronger safeguards like the Save America Act, get rid of electronic machines, mail-in ballots, and use paper ballots only.
Republicans have finished debating whether or not they will debate the SAVE Act. And I'm not exaggerating. They literally debated whether or not they would advance the bill in order to debate it. This is why Congress is completely useless. But where we are currently with the SAVE Act, it has advanced in the Senate, 51 to 48, meaning they will now begin a discussion over a week. They're going to propose amendments, maybe some changes. And then the presumption is it will ultimately fail because it will not meet the 60-vote threshold to get past the filibuster. And of course, Congress is wasting our time. But for those that aren't familiar, the SAVE Act is the most popular bill we have seen in this country in our lifetimes. Maybe not completely, I'm being a little hyperbolic, but it is enjoying 70+% support from Democrats, 80+% from independents, and 90+ from Republicans. So you have to wonder why, if the overall support across the board for the United States is over 85%, why aren't they passing this bill? I'm going to tell you, my friends, it's because Republicans and Democrats alike enjoy a system in which they can manipulate the elections to their own benefit. That's the reality. It's one big club and you ain't in it. It's the same club they used to beat you over the head with as they, declare war on foreign countries. That's a George Carlin quote for the most part.
Government fraud. Friday, March 20th, California. It's not just hospice fraud. We uncovered $100 million in California homeless industrial complex fraud. The homeless are used to launder billions in federal dollars. Whistleblowers tell us the money goes to illegals. Dan Bongino on Telegram.
You thought the fraud in Minnesota was bad? President Trump just called out California, labeling it the most corrupt state in the union. We are talking about a potential $250 billion in taxpayer money that has simply vanished. The facts are blunt. The U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California just confirmed that more arrests are coming this month. Over the last 5 years, California spent $24 billion on homelessness, and yet nobody can account for where that money went. But it gets worse. From $20 billion in COVID fraud to a high-speed rail project that has cost over $100 billion with 0 miles of track built, the king of fraud has been presiding over a massive wealth transfer from your paycheck to political insiders and criminal parasites. They've even been caught using Medicaid to fund illegal aliens, while American citizens struggle. The state's own oversight is non-existent because the politicians are investigating themselves. The hammer is finally dropping. The FBI, IRS, and a specialized homeless fraud task force are now following the money. No matter how high up the corruption goes, the accountability is coming.
Now that you know reptilians walk among us, here are 3 activities that they enjoy. And if you suddenly feel called out, well, that's not my fault. Number 1, they love learning about the Roman Empire. Reptilians are naturally drawn to strategy, conquest, and empire building. So if your YouTube algorithm keeps recommending things like Roman battle formations, ancient military tactics, or how the Roman legions conquered Europe, well, that might not be random. Number 2, they love intense competitive events. Things like the Super Bowl, championship fights, or high-stakes sports. Reptilians love dominance hierarchies, strategy, and watching warriors compete. To them, it's not just a game. It is tribal combat with better uniforms. And number 3, they love spending time underground. I'm talking dark caves, man caves, bunkers, and basements. If someone you know feels unusually comfortable in cool, dark, enclosed spaces, well, that might be their natural habitat talking. So if there's someone in your life that comes to mind that loves everything about the Roman Empire, lives for championship sports, or builds elaborate underground spaces, well, there's a chance that you found another one. Reptilians. They are known to cause havoc on any planet they invade, just not in the way you think. So here are 3 personality traits to help you be aware of them. Number 1, they tend to take on a parental or a punishing role, not supportive and not guiding, more like constant correction. They position themselves as the authority, like they always know better and everyone else needs to fall in line. And number 2, they make you doubt your own decisions, especially the ones that actually feel right to you. They will question it, they will minimize it, or they will subtly make you feel like you're wrong for trusting yourself. And over time, you start shrinking. And the third, they keep you in a state of fear or pressure. Always thinking ahead, always worrying about what could go wrong. Because if you're fully present, calm, and clear, you are a lot harder to control. So if someone constantly needs to be the authority, makes you question yourself, or keeps you slightly on edge, pay attention. That feeling is not random. Here are 3 ways to spot one. If someone watching this suddenly gets nervous, well, now we know. Sign number 1. The temperature literally changes when they enter the room. You ever notice someone walk in and suddenly the energy gets cooler? Not emotionally, like the actual room gets cold. Yup, that's a thing people report. Sign number 2. They give off a sense of danger without saying a single word. And you're sitting there and you don't know why. They're not doing anything threatening. Your instincts go, okay, this person could probably run a battlefield. And the third sign. They eat a lot of meat, like a lot. I'm talking 4th of July meals every day, every meal. Everyone else orders a salad, but they're over there ordering 2 steaks. And they ask, what animal did that burger come from? So if someone lowers the temperature, radiates a quiet danger, and destroys a steak in under 4 minutes, you might just have spotted a reptilian.
Now there's the gray human hybrid program, which is Eisenhower and back in the day Truman, allowing the grays to come in and abduct humans in exchange for technology. But as it happened, they ended up to break every treaty they ever made and asked them if they would leave the humans in the U.S. alone.
Plan for Carg Island, Mr. President? What's your plan for Carg Island?
You know, I may have a plan or I may not, but how would I ever say that to a reporter? If I said that to a reporter, Marco would say, please, sir, let's bring you over to the helicopter immediately, right? I can't.
Breaking news that might shock you. Tensions between Iran and Qatar have escalated dramatically. Reports suggest that LNG installations have been targeted, forcing Qatar to accept a 17% drop in gas production for the next 5 years. Experts say it could take up to 5 years and around $26 billion to fully restore the damage. It's being claimed that Iran specifically targeted the section responsible for that 17% LNG output. As a result, a global gas crisis may be starting, with gas prices in Europe already rising by up to 60%. Qatar has called this a massive loss, and several international agreements with countries like Italy, Belgium, South Korea, and China are now being delayed. Meanwhile, Iran has warned that if its facilities are attacked again by Israel or the United States, the response will be severe. Now, tensions between the U.S., Israel, and Iran are increasing, and the world could be heading toward a major energy crisis. This could impact the global economy.
This is from BioClandestine on Telegram. All the messaging from yesterday and today seems to indicate that the operation in Iran is coming to a close. Trump's objectives have been accomplished, and if Trump is telling us that they are considering winding down, the decision has already been made. Now Trump is shifting his focus to getting other nations in the region, like China, Japan, India, and I'd bet on Saudi Arabia as well, to secure the Strait of Hormuz moving forward, so we can lower our military footprint in the region and usher in a new era of peace. Knowing how Trump operates, I'd wager these agreements were already in place long before the kinetic operation in Iran began. From a 40,000-foot view, it appears Trump is consolidating spheres of influence. He is setting the stage for new players in the Middle East, Asia, to take control, responsibility of their own region, while we simultaneously lower their footprint in our region, in places like Panama, Venezuela, and Cuba. Bioclandestine on Telegram.
Big news. I mean, I kind of see this Iran thing, no matter how it's played out, no matter what happens to the oil, working out for us because why? Drill, baby, drill. That's what I see happening. Alaska, Texas, jobs coming back, oil production coming back to the States. I think Trump knows exactly what he's doing, and he's not intimidated or worried about anything. And he's killing two birds with one stone, taking everybody's oil, and at the same time, taking out the nuclear threat of Iran, which would have been used. People don't understand this. They were going to play this card, right, Sheila? The globalists were going to play this card of nuclear Armageddon, and Iran was going to be the catapult to this, correct?
Yep.
Thank you for joining me.
That's why it wasn't us that took out those guys. It was Israel. Remember that last meeting President Trump had with Bibi right before all of this? When he had that meeting, the press were asking him, so what are you guys saying about Israel? And he goes, I've never even mentioned the word Israel in this meeting. He made it very clear. And then he looked at Bibi, he said, I've never mentioned the word, have I? And Bibi had to acknowledge they never mentioned it. They were working on this because President Trump has also said, everybody's missing it. Guys, we're going to support him. We're going to support them, but it's for them to deal with. The Middle East situation is for them to deal with. Here's the other thing that got uncovered, and I don't know, on my Twitter, I put this out yesterday. Bloomberg actually came out with a chart, and there's absolutely no oil barrels that we're looking for coming through the Strait of Hormuz. But here's what Trump did. Nobody's reading The Art of the Deal, The Art of War. You need to go look at it because this is how he does it. So he said, guys, we're going to have our Navy ships and they're going to be protecting you. When you want to get through the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to help everybody move through there. We're not going to let Iran control this, blah, 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 blah. Do you know who came to our aid to do all of this? Nobody. Not one. Not one.
But that's kind of like that's also killing another bird with one stone. I mean, exposing who NATO is, right?
Yeah. So then he said, you know what, guys, since none of you want to participate in this, I don't need any of that oil anyway, so we're backing off. So we're not going to do anything. And then China called within moments. China called and said, guys, I need your help because we're going to be out of oil. You know what I mean? Because they can't get it from Venezuela anymore because he bought their 80 million barrels. This has been so brilliant because we're revealing nothing has healed since the Spanish-American War 120 years ago. 130 years ago. Nothing has been healed based on going all the way back. I mean, So America became the world order. We've talked about this in 1871. We didn't just become a corporation in 1871. They already had centralized banks, guys, in 1791. So none of this is new. They've been controlling us and then made us the world order. And we've been funding everything, and everyone hates us because we're controlling everything, but it's not us.
So
It's
do
the
you
CIA.
think China takes Taiwan now? Do you think this is the opportune time for them to make a move on Taiwan?
China doesn't have a way to make a move. They're begging us for barrels of
God,
oil.
Trump is a genius, man.
I know
and
he
even
is.
even if Trump blows up these oil fields, like what's happening, he doesn't care, right? Because we are going to bring it back here. Drill, baby, drill, right?
And guess what he did? People don't know this. I've been fighting this with our friend for about
this is
6 weeks,
amazing.
8 weeks. I said there's still 200 capped rigs in California. 200 capped. It's been for a few decades, guys. And they capped them and wouldn't let us do anything. And so we lost businesses, family lost their homes. I mean, all of these guys have been in this industry forever because it's your transport, it's your rig guys, it's everybody. The whole industry took that hit. 200 capped rigs. What did President just do in the last 48 hours? War Powers Act. What's happening now? Rigs are opening up even offshore in California.
So, in other words,
has the power to do that. Newsom can't stop it. It's not a state issue when it's a Wars Power Act. So the Gettys, but capping all of our oil rigs, it's over. That game's over too. So we're going to be fine. We got 8 million barrels coming from the Venezuela to help their prosperity and their lives, and then we got this going on. But here's the backbone nobody's really looking at. England has revealed who England is.
Explain.
We thought they were really great because, oh my gosh, they got this big British Commonwealth and all the crown and all this kind of stuff. Nobody has realized that's what he's breaking the back of is actually England, because England is a financier behind all of this. And so now we've got even France calling us wanting to do something about oil. We've got, you know what I mean? Because I don't know if you can
England financing everybody, correct?
the chart on Twitter. It's Asia and Europe. We've been making it all happen for everybody. And the countries and regions that, of the world who rely on the Strait of Hormuz, we're not on there. We're not even on there.
Wow.
We don't even need it. Do you see what I mean?
Trump has. I mean, this should make every country want to go against us. They can't do it, can they?
No.
He knows.
You know what's really crazy? People are going to find out how many of these countries also committed war crimes against us in 2020 that's not over yet.
Yep,
Do you see what I mean? All of this is related. So anyway, he offered to have ships around him and make all this happen. And you see the Strait of Hormuz symbol is on the inside. That's exactly what it looks like. There's nothing about it that's straight. And so Trump has been talking about, he's been saying there's nothing about this that's straight. You guys, if I'm going to get in there now and get this taken care of, it's going to be the Strait of America, just like the Gulf of America.
That's insane. I am just blown away at this guy. I mean,
I know.
As the timeline splits, you will see friends, family members, and colleagues panicking. They will cling to the collapsing three-dimensional matrix, and your immediate compassionate instinct will be to reach down, lower your own vibration, and try to pull them up into the new frequency with you. Do not do it. Quantum mechanics does not allow you to force a frequency upgrade onto a soul that has chosen the delay path. By actively lowering your vibration to resonate with their fear, anger, or victimhood, you do not save them. You only anchor yourself to a collapsing timeline. You risk burning out your own nervous system and failing the exact mission you incarnated here to complete. You must understand that leaving them to their own soul's journey is not an act of cruelty. It is the highest form of spiritual respect. You cannot do their work for them. Your only job is to shine so brightly, so immovably, that they can find the path themselves when they are ready. You must release the guilt of outgrowing the people around you. The bridge between the two earths is closing, and you cannot afford to look back. But holding this intense amount of cosmic light while walking among the chaos of a dying paradigm is a dangerous, exhausting endeavor. If you do not know how to manage the sheer voltage of the solar plasma now flooding the planet, your physical body will short-circuit. To survive the final phase of the 2026 shift, we must strip away the esoteric metaphors. We must stop looking at the stars and look directly at the cold, hard science of grounding the human nervous system.